Moving on to your next topic in your chapter 3 human resource management, you have selection. Now what is selection? Selection means you're selecting the right person for the right job. That is, you're making a right decision, right? So selection is basically, according to Thomas Stone, selection is the process of differentiating between applicants in order to identify and hire those greater in likelihood and success of the particular job. Okay, who is better candidate, you will hire him for the particular job. Next is you have your importance of selection. Importance of selection is nothing but selection of personnel to manage the organization. That is whether it is crucial, complex and it is a crucial, complex and a continuous function. Okay, then selection process plays a crucial role as it facilitates the organization to attain the goals as in order to grow in a dynamic environment. Okay, when you're selecting a particular employee or an individual, where the organization's environment is continuously changing, so you have to select an individual whether he can be able to achieve the particular goal in the dynamic environment or not. Then the entire organization depends on the selection process, that is the right person for the right job. Then it's through proper selection an employee automatically becomes an asset to the organization. Human resource is an asset to the organization. When you're selecting the right individual for the right job, then he will automatically become the asset to the organization. That is, he will stay in the organization for a long period of time. Now again, you have a similar topics which are repeating. Wherever explanation is required, I will give you the explanation. You have your steps in selection process. Firstly, your job analysis. You are analyzing the job, that is selecting the right person for the right job, where considering your internal factors as well as your external factors. Then next you have your preliminary interview. Preliminary interview is screening application, wherein each and every individual will come and apply for that particular job, and you will take the resume in order to see whether the particular person possesses the necessary qualifications or not. You are screening their resumes and applications. Next you have your selection test. You will conduct an interview or a selection test wherein you will see the particular whether the particular person is able to answer those particular questions, whether they're able to fit right for the particular job, whether they can qualify no next position or not. After you have conducted the test, you will have employment interview, wherein the employer will directly get in contact with the employee, and he will cross question and find out how the employee is, whether the employee is capable or not. He will obtain the information about the background, giving information to candidate about the company, and establish a friendly relationship between the employer and employee. Next is you have your reference check. Once the employee is selected, the application will be selected, and the name, address, etc. of the employees and the people will be continuously referred and checked whether the actual employee belongs to this particular country, whether he is an individual who's trustworthy, whether all of his background checking and verification will be done. Next is the selection decision. Selection decision is basically the human resource manager plays an important role to see whether the particular employee is capable of being selected or not. Then you will have your physical examination. Then again, similarly like your previous examination, you will have your physical check, that is your medical check, in order to see whether the employee is capable of the particular job or not. Then you will have 8.1 is your job offer. Once the particular employee successfully passed the above tests, above the 7 steps, then he will be selected for the particular job, and offer letter will be sent to him that he can come in and apply for this particular contract or job. Next is you have your employment contract. Employment contract is nothing but a written contract between the employer and the employee, that is for a particular period of time the employee will be working for this particular organization. Next is you have your evaluation of selecting procedure. Once you've selected, you will again evaluate based on his commitment to the company, his competence and whether he's talented or not. Next, last step is your placement, that is placing the employee, that is the right person who is selected for the right job will be selected, and he will be selected. He will be asked to join. He will be given a joining date, and he will be asked to join in that particular date of the particular date, and he will be asked him to employ himself. Your next topic is placement. What is placement? Placement is basically defined as determination of job to which an accepted candidate is to be assigned, and his assignment to that particular job. That is placing the right job for the right person for the right job. You will have various problems in placement. That is expectation of the employee. That is, an employee will be expecting a higher salary. Okay, employee will be basically he will have a challenging workforce, and he will find he is not fit for that particular job. Then job expectation. Okay, expectation of employee, job expectation of the company towards the employee, whether the employee is able to meet the particular expectations of the employer or not. Technological changes, whether the employee is able to cope up with the changes in the continuous changing technology, whether he is able to work in the dynamic environment or not. Then changes in the structure of the organization, whether it is based on the organization structure, whether it is a tall organization structure or whether it is a flat organization structure. Next, you have psychological and social factors. Psychological and social factors, whether they are working in touch with the two, and how they are having an effect on the employee. These are the problems that will be faced in the placement of the employee, whether when the particular employee is selected and is going to be placed for the right job. Moving on to your next topic, you have training and development. Now, what is training? Training is providing for training, like continuously training and developing, wherein you are continuously helping the employee to cope up with the changing skills of the organization. That is meaning of training. Training is process of maintaining and developing the required skills of an employee so as to enable him or her and to improve the particular performance. Training is the human resource development sub function. Okay, it is the sub function, and every organization has to spend certain amount of money on the training and development for the better performance of the employee. Okay, if you want to if you want a particular employee to work efficiently in the organization, then you have to provide him for training and development. Next is the definition of training. According to Edwin B. Flippo, training is the act of increasing the knowledge and skill of an employee for doing a particular job. Okay, you are helping the employee to identify as to how he needs to go about working that particular job, how he needs to feed the data, and what are the standards he needs to meet in order to achieve the objectives. Next is you have the need for training. Need for training is basically, why do you require need? What is the need in order to provide for training? Because it helps you in improving the quality of the product, and proper training is required. It helps you in increasing the productivity. Then instructions are given to the employees in order to complete the assignments. To improve the health and safety of the employee, training is important. It promotes proper training for a particular job. Okay, it also helps in fulfilling the company's future and current requirements. Your next topic is objectives of training. Now, what are the objectives of training? Why? What is the basic objective? Is basically to provide skill and knowledge, to improve the skills efficiency, to create specialization, to maximize utilization of given resources, to increase the morale of employees, to promote innovation, and to develop second and third line of executives. Okay, to develop the line of working, to attain objectives, to avoid shortage of skilled laborers, to increase profits. These are very self-explanatory. That is why I'm not giving you all explanation. Okay, to mold the employee's attitude, to motivate the workforce to meet competition, and to prevent obsolescence. Okay. So moving on to your next topic, you have your purpose of training. Now, what is the purpose of training? Why do you require training? Is basically to prevent any obsolescence. Now, what is obsolescence? Basically, as you all know, technology keeps changing every other day, right? So in order to avoid the obsolete technology, you continuously update with the changing of the new technology. So when you're changing and updating technology, you need to continuously provide training and development to the workers also, so that they will know how to use that particular technology. You can't just change the technology and keep quiet. Rather, you should also educate the workers how they need to use the technology. Next is assisting new corner. Assisting new corner is basically how you are assisting the employees and teaching them new working methods. How do you're teaching them to use new technology, adapt to the company workforce, etc. The next is bridging the gap between planning and implementation. You are reducing the gap between planning and implementing. You are helping the employees by training to achieve the target and how to develop their particular quality, and what is the time limit in which you need to achieve that particular task, okay, and particular objective. So training will help them in achieving it. Next is health and safety measures. Health and safety measures is basically through training you can clearly help the employees identify what are the health and safety measures that they need to take, and what are the things they need to prevent in order to avoid problems, and also what are the tips that they will will be given to them in order to maintain their health. Okay, then next is the importance of training. Why is training very important? We will just look into a thing. Okay, we'll just brief through. Then next one, firstly, it is increased productivity. Increased productivity is basically your training is when an employee is provided with training, it enhances the quality and quantity of the efficiency of the employee, wherein the employee will know how he needs to perform the duty. So it is increasing the employee's productivity. Then higher employee morale. Continuously, if you motivate the employee, then the morale of the employee also increases. Okay, and also he reduces ego and enhances employee's job satisfaction. Less supervision. Less supervision is basically when the employee is given training and development, the employer does not have to continuously supervise the employee, because the employee has already guided him on how he needs to do things. Less wastage. See, when training and development is given to the employee, there will be less wastage, because the employee will be known as to how much amount of resource he needs to use in order to complete a particular task, and in what duration of time he needs to complete the particular task. Easy adaptability. When training and development is given to the employee, the employee easily adapts to the working environment, okay, and he easily settles down with the other employees. Reduce turnover and absenteeism. See, when training and development is given, the employee will also know how to use technology, how to generate new ideas. He will feel a sense of belongingness in the organization's environment, which will create a job satisfaction, and also which will reduce the turnover and absenteeism rate. Next is employee development. Employee development, training and development helps in developing the employee, wherein it will enhance the employee's working talent, his improved performance, etc. Health and safety, as we looked earlier also, it provides on the stable mental attitude. Okay, obsolescence prevention and personal growth. It also helps in the growth of the organization for the employee, growth of employee in the organization, as well as it contributes to the personal growth of the employee. Next is the benefits of training. Benefits of training, as we looked in earlier, it increases efficiency, reduce supervision, less amount of wastage, reduce turnover, helps employee in the organization, better labor management, self-confidence, increased motivation level, high rewards, group efforts, and promotion. Okay, these are the benefits of training. Now next you have steps in training process. What are the steps in training process? It is basically, first step is organization objective and strategies. Firstly, you have to see what is the organization's objective and what are these particular strategies in order to achieve these particular objectives. Okay, you need to see all of these, and based on that you need to see what is the kind of training you want to provide and how do you want to recruit this employee in the future. The next one is assessment determination of training needs. You need to assess and determine what is the basic need for training, why do you require training, whether training is actually to be performed by the employee, whether how do you want to reduce the gap between training performance and implementation, and whether the employee actually requires training or not. Next is establishment of training goal. Establishment of training goal is basically you will set a particular goal wherein you will keep a particular standard for the performance, and you will see whether after providing training, whether the employee's performance, you are able to match the employee's actual performance with the standard performance. Okay, and that particular goal should be measurable. Next is designing the training program. Okay, training program. The training program is basically, first you will select the internal and external person or resource to design the program. Okay, you will select one particular individual, whether it could be a person from the organization itself, internal employee or external person, to design the training program. Then next is select and design the content in the program, whatever you want to design. Like suppose you have your BCom, what is the course, how your course content is designed, right? Which subject you will be studying in first semester, second semester. So that is the content. Next is select the techniques used to facilitate the learning. Okay, example, it could be role play, simulation, etc. Then select the appropriate setting, whether you want to carry out the training on inside the job while performing the particular job, or you want to perform give them classroom training, etc. Then select the materials that you want to use in training, example like books, videos, etc. Then identify and train the instructors. If there are internal instructors, then you have to identify them and you have to train these particular instructions. So in this way you will design the training program. After you've designed the training program, you will implement the training program. Okay, implementation of the training program, whatever how you have to implement the training program, you have to communicate your skills, then you have to continuously develop the employees. Okay, then evaluation of results. After you have implemented the training program, you have to continue with the training program, you have to train and develop the employees, and lastly you have to evaluate the results to see whether the training program was effective to the employees or it was not effective, whether the employees have gathered successful information, whether the employees are capable now to perform the job or not. That is the evaluation of results. Next, you have methods of training. In your methods of training, you have two methods, that is on the job training, very important topic. You have two methods, that is on the job and off the job. Now on the job training is basically, it is the heart and soul of the training. On the job is also called as shop training, wherein a particular employee will perform the job and on the spot in the particular job he will be trained. Okay, now on the job training is further classified into coaching. Coaching is nothing but you have a particular supervisor, and this particular supervisor or the trainer will continuously be giving feedback to the employee as to whether what are the duties and responsibilities he has to do and how he has to carry out these particular activities. That is trainer and training. Next is understudy program. Understudy program is basically works as an assistant. The individual will work as an assistant or to deputy or the senior manager so that he can assume full responsibilities. That is, he will be performing duties and responsibilities on the basis of on behalf of the senior manager, and he will be continuously given guidance as to how he needs to perform this particular duties. Next is job rotation. Job rotation is nothing but job rotation is you're transferring the trainee from one job to another job in the same department so that he is able to learn each and every job in a particular period of time. Okay, the next one is special project. Special project is basically wherein you have special assignments. Each employee trainee will be given a task to perform that particular special project so that he is able to acquire more knowledge and he's able to work in different parts of the organization and he's able to develop commitment. Next is commitments and junior boards. Committees and junior boards are also called as multiple management, and these are also one of the methods of training. Okay, now the trainee becomes a member of committee, gets an opportunity to interact with experienced manager. Okay, basically he will be selected in a particular board wherein he will be acting on behalf of the top management. He will be trained under the top management. Okay, next is apprentice training. Apprenticeship training is basically, it is the most common method used, especially when proficiency in the job is relatively longer period, that is 2 to 3 years for persons, or the superiority wherein the ability is 4 to 5 years for the other persons. That is apprentice training. Now next you have your job instruction training. Job instruction training is nothing but it is a skill. Okay, it is a skill wherein the skilled trainers will give extensive job analysis training schedules and prior assessment to train the particular employee. Now they will prepare the employee or the trainee for instruction. Okay, then this includes putting him in case, like basically they will give him a real situation when he will be put in test and he will have to solve that particular problem or something. This is very important. Again, it is a 4-step process. This includes putting him at case, emphasizing the importance of the task, and giving general descriptions of jobs, duties, and responsibilities. Next is presentation of instruction, giving essential information in clear manner. This includes positioning of the trainee at work site and telling him how each and every job has to be performed step by step. Okay, job instruction training. Then having the trainee try out the job. Okay, then the trainee will be allowed to try out the job himself, and if he is conducting it and if he is causing any errors, then the trainer will correct the trainee. Encouraging the question and allowing the trainee to work along with the trainer and following up regularly. The trainer will give him necessary feedbacks, whatever is required. Then there are various advantages as well as disadvantages. Advantages of on-the-job training is nothing but the trainee will get an actual working environment, actual work exposure will be given. Okay, he will know how to work in an actual working condition. Trainee will learn all the rules, regulations, etc. day by day. Okay, it is highly economical, no extra cost will be incurred. Then it is a most appropriate way of teaching knowledge and skills which can be acquired. This type of training is suitable for alternative for the company which has almost many jobs and there are many employees. Now what are the disadvantages? Disadvantages is basically inability of the experienced employee. Then they are subjected to a lot of distractions. See, suppose if the employee is working in the actual working condition, then because of various other employees he will be distracted. Okay, training is generally given and a large number of people in the organization, so it becomes very difficult and a lot of cost is also involved. Then job rotation. If it is job rotation, when a trainee moves from one job to another job, then the trainee of each job, it will become difficult for the trainer to continuously monitor each and every job. So these were the advantages as well as disadvantages of on-the-job training. Next you have off-the-job training. Off-the-job training is, firstly, it is role playing. Role playing is what? Role play. Role play, as we all know, one particular situation will be given to you and you will have various other characters, and wherein how realistic you perform that particular role and that particular scenario, role play, that is based on that you will be assessed. Okay, you will be assessed. This is also one of the most important methods of off-the-job training. The role plays are basically based on a particular situation. Suppose if there is a suppose for example, you can basically be given a situation by the a trainer wherein he will say, this is the problem which is arise in the organization. Now come up with a solution. Okay, for example, a situation which will be given to you, and based on that you will have to perform a role play and you will have to come up with a particular solution. What are the advantages of role play? Learning by doing is emphasized. Human sensitivity and interactions are stressed. The knowledge of and results are immediate. Training interest and involvement will be high. It is a very useful method Okay, it develops the ability of skills and it brings about desired change in the behavior and attitude. These are the advantages of role playing. Next is case study. Case study is wherein it is a written description. Okay, you will be given a particular case. It could be a problem or anything, wherein the trainee will have to read the entire case and give and based on the necessary questions which are given below, he will have to give answers based on the questions which are asked. Okay, through this you will be able to analyze his judgmental abilities. So this is the case study method, which is another off the job training. Now, there are various advantages of your case study method. Your advantages of case study method is basically there are a few, that is, you master the facts, you define the objectives, you identify the problem, you develop various alternative course of action. Then it will help you in also identifying how you need to screen the various alternatives, then select the best alternative. Okay, to solve the problem, define the control needed to make the action, and to role play the actions to test its effectiveness. Now, various disadvantages are basically it may be different into mere theory. Now, these advantages and disadvantages, you can also frame it and write it in your own words. Okay, basically based on your understanding of your case study method. Then it may different into a mere theory demonstration. Okay, it is taught only from books and developing centers, like only one case study will be given to you, only that particular thing you need to understand. So that is one disadvantages. Then instruction in the methods of analysis will be given due importance. Okay, will be given due importance, that is only you have to focus on whatever instruction is given, you cannot come up with anything of your own. Next is sensitivity training. Sensitivity training is basically here you will form groups of people. Usually it could be 12 in a group or 10 in a group or anything as such. You will form groups, that is fewer than 12 in a group. Okay, less than 12 in a group. Now here what will happen is basically you will have made various meetings with not even any agenda. The objective of this type of training is basically here you will provide the participants with increased awareness of their own behavior. You will give them a situation of a workplace, and you will tell them in order to and you will train them based on the various situations. Next is simulation. Simulation is nothing but here you are duplicating a similar kind of situation. Suppose you have a particular machine in the organization, and this same machine will be recreated in the training site also. Okay, but this here you are going to duplicate each and every similar equipment and technique, and you will be creating a similar realistic environment to provide a working environment for the trainee. A simulator is any kind of equipment or technique that duplicates nearly as possible the actual working condition. You are trying to replicate the actual working condition in order to provide the training and development. Simulation then is an attempt to create a realistic decision-making environment for the trainee. Simulation presents likely problem situations and decision alternative for the trainee. For example, this is a very important 2-marker. For example, activities of the organization may be simulated, and the trainee may be asked to take a decision. Okay, same, however the organization is same, it will be duplicated on the working on the training site, and same problems will be recreated, and based on that the employees will be trained. Next is vestibule training. Vestibule training is nothing but it is a similar to classroom kind of training, which is very similar to classroom kind of training. The primary advantage of vestibule training is here the employees will be relieved from work pressure. Okay, they will not have so much of work pressure while they are learning. So this is one advantage of vestibule training. Now the advantages are, as the training is given a separate room reason, distraction is minimized. Okay, distraction, there will be no much distraction. Then the trained instructor who knows how to teach can be more effectively utilized. The correct method can be taught without interrupting. It permits the trainee to practice without fear of supervisors, co-workers, etc. Now here the employee is given most amount of freedom in order to carry out their training and development. Next is disadvantages. The splitting of responsibilities become difficult. Then additional investment, okay, because you are recreating the same working environment, so it becomes very difficult because it is completely duplicated. Training situation is artificial, though it is duplicated, you will not get the actual working environment feel. Okay, then the trainee will be given in the large vestibule schools, and off the job is basically, on the job is much preferred when compared to off the job because it is very expensive. Okay, next you have conference method. Conference method is nothing but you will conduct a particular conference, and based on that you will be training the employees based on supervisors will be there, clerical work will be there, and the conference method is basically suited for analyzing the problems. Okay, it is not for anything else, but you can help in analyzing the problems. It is not really a good method in order to provide for training and development, because this is whatever problems have occurred in the past, you just come up with the solutions. It is just like your case study method, or it could be your various other methods. Now, what are the advantage of conference is basically here it is mostly used for solving out problems, and the disadvantages is basically it is limited to 15 to 20 people, and it does not encourage large group participation, and it is generally allowed and it is here even if you have a desire to speak, you cannot easily go in and speak. Okay, basically here you will have to wait for your turn in order to speak and give necessary views and opinions. Next, you have programmed instruction. Programmed instruction is basically here it is a kind of program wherein you will be given step by step information, wherein you have to it is through central panel of electronic computer, wherein the electronic computer will continuously give you direction after each step what you are supposed to do. Okay, but this is expensive and again time consuming. Okay, the advantages here is basically trainees learn at their own pace. Okay, it completely depends on how fast the computer system is giving you instructions. Then instructors are not taking part in learning. It is completely computerized. The materials may be learned to be broken into small units. Immediate feedback is available. Active learner participation. Now computer system will give you immediate feedback whether you're able to follow the instructions or not, and active learner participation is not is there, because here it is only one-sided learning. Okay, the computer is not giving you any sorts of, it is not interrupting in your learning. The disadvantage basically impersonality. Okay, it is completely everything is a complete computer system. Okay, here the cost of creating such program is very great. Okay, the cost which is incurring is really high. Then next you have your advantages and development disadvantage of training and development. Advantages are low cost. Okay, low cost, it will basically because of the computer training and the classroom training. Task based is basically on the job training, wherein the job is performed in the work area itself, and the employer is giving you instruction as to how you need to perform the job. Well suited for small groups. Well suited for small groups is again on the job training. Basically you can create batch wise, wherein you can train the employees batch wise, and you can concentrate on each and every employee and train them effectively. What are the disadvantages of training and development? Inconsistent. When you're curving and when you are following the traditional method of on the job training, what happens is basically if the employee even makes a one mistake, then it will become a disaster to the entire thing. Okay, and it is also very time consuming process, so it is very inconsistent. Incomplete is basically because you will at times the trainer might not give you the important information. He may forget to give you the important information, which will become incomplete. Lack of founding principle is basically here basically because of the lack of information and all of that, because the trainer will be scared, wherein the employee will wherein the trainee will tend to make mistake, so trainer will only do most of the things. So you have the lack of founding principle. And bad habits is basically trainees observe and may adopt a trainer's bad habits and attitudes about all the aspects of job, like regarding if the trainer is not taking any safety precaution or quality, he is not taking into consideration quality, etc., then even the employees or the trainees will adopt this particular thing. So this was the advantages and disadvantages of training and development.